Hello there, my name is James Harrington. If Spanish football is for you, then this is the place to be. Today we're going to be talking about Spain making it through to the semi-finals of the European Championship and their match against Italy. If you haven't seen any of these videos before, what we tend to do is talk about the 5 key lessons learned from the previous match, that being the quarter-final against Switzerland, and then look ahead to the opponents, and this episode, it's Italy. So the quarter-finals against Switzerland wasn't exactly a brilliant performance, was it? The match went all the way to penalties, and thankfully Unai Simon saved 2 of them, one from Akanji, the other one from Fabian Schär, and then Miguel Oyarzabal tucked home the winning penalty for Spain. There's a lot of things that we need to talk about, so let's get into it. Lesson number 1, tiredness. It's not going to do Spain any favours in their semi-final clash against Italy, having their last 2 matches not finished in the normal 90 minutes. Both games going towards extra time, and then in the latter match against Switzerland, all the way to penalties. Clearly going to take a mental and physical toll on the team. As we'll add to that, the distance that Spain are travelling. For the game against Italy, they're travelling from St. Petersburg to London, but prior to that, they travelled from Seville to Copenhagen. So clearly, they're clocking up the air miles. Spain had a largely lacklustre display against the Swiss and only really came alive in extra time when they began to dominate possession and had a number of golden opportunities. But that was only due to the fact they had a numerical advantage on the Swiss team once they went down to 10 men when Frauler got the red card. Luis Enrique even acknowledged himself that up to that point the game was pretty fairly matched. You could see that they clearly were impacted from the epic match they only played a few days beforehand against the Croatians, the one they won 5-3. But it was not only the Spaniards that were tired in this game, the Swiss were clearly tired too. It was evident by the fact that they weren't pressing as much as we had expected, that they had tired legs. They themselves having played a thrilling match, knocking out tournament favourite France on penalties only a few days beforehand. Luis Enrique will be really keen for his side to finish the match in the 90 minutes, and the Italians won't make it easy. So I really do feel that at the moment, tiredness really is impacting the national side. Lesson number 2, mistakes. And boy, are Spain paying for them. That's how Switzerland equalised in the match. Laporte seemed poised to be able to deal with a forward lofted pass. However, he knocked the ball against his centre-half partner, Pau Torres, leading to the ball to fall into the path of Frauler, who passed Shaqiri, and he coolly finished to make the game 1-1. Then that gave Swiss momentum and a real foothold in the match, something they didn't have up until that point. It only really became a recent concern as we progressed through the knockout stages about how brittle Spain's defence is. One reason that's been attributed is the fact that they're both left-footed centre-halves, so they're not exactly gelling at the moment. Beyond just subbing one of them out and bringing in Eric Garcia, I wanted to think of a real solution, something that could really transform that defence. And that's why I'm going to suggest a formation change. And I know it's highly unlikely. Look, a 4-3-3, Spain's current formation, they are leading architects behind that. They played that for many, many years. And as well, Luis Enrique truly is wedded to that formation. However, if they were going to change it, the formation I would recommend, and I'm taking a leaf out of Barcelona's book here, is the 5-3-2. Like Spain, Barcelona play a 4-3-3, but Ronald Koeman back in January noticed that his defence was his weakest department. They were becoming exposed in matches and conceding sloppy goals. So he switched to a 5-3-2. Yes, a 5-3-2 is seen as a really defensive formation with 3 centre-halves. But the benefits of it is that, okay, you have 3 centre-halves, numerically, you have more centre-backs to cover you. One can act as a sweeper to cover up for the mistakes of the others. It makes you more compact, difficult to play through, which Italy will be looking to do, and as well you can still do the build-up play from the back. But a 5-3-2 defensive formation can very easily switch to a 3-5-2 with wing-backs, and then you can hit the opposition on the counter. And Spain do have wing-backs at their disposal. I'm looking at Marc Llorente and Jordi Alba. If I'm being brutally honest, I don't think this is going to happen, but I just think it's something that we should talk about. As a coach, do you rigidly stick to a philosophy, or do you adapt to make up for your deficiencies and adapt due to the opposition. It's a conundrum, I respect that. Gerard Moreno, after the game against Switzerland, said the side demonstrated a great deal of mental resolve, overcoming that mistake. However, and I have to be blunt here, careless errors will be punished by the Italians. So as a coach, I think it's their duty to take all the steps to mitigate against that. Lesson number 3, Dani Olmo. Now for me, of all the substitutes, he made the greatest impact when he came onto the pitch. At half-time, when Pablo Sarabia was subbed off. Some really impressive stats of Dani Olmo actually. 6 shots, 1 on target, 4 key passes, won 4 fouls, had 76 touches of the ball and 90% pass accuracy. He as well scored in the penalty shootout, so that helps. Against Croatia as well, he made a really big impact. In extra time, he got 2 assists in the space of 3 minutes. It must be great for Luis Enrique to have someone at your disposal who can create chances but as well cause damage. What Dani Olmo offers to Spain is he can completely change their attacking style of play. And the Swiss didn't really know how to handle him, especially considering the fact they had some really tired legs at that point. Lesson number 4, Pedri. Now I'm surprised I haven't spoken about him more, but I need to talk about him now because he had such an impressive first half performance against Switzerland. 18 years old and he's so pivotal to the Spanish national side. Only 2 players have made more minutes than Pedri at the tournament, that being Laporte and Unai Simon. Only 1 player has completed more passes into the final third, and that's Toni Kroos of Germany. Now, considering the fact that Germans have now been knocked out of the tournament, there's a high chance Pedri will surpass him. His stats against Switzerland were 5 key passes, 92 passes completed with a 91.3% pass accuracy and 111 touches. I do fear for Pedri that he's going to be a victim of his own success. Going back to my earlier lesson about tiredness, he's played a full campaign for Barcelona, then been involved for Spain at the Euros, and has now been selected for the Spanish side at the Olympics. I have a feeling that come the start of the next season for Barcelona, he might have really tired legs. But against Switzerland, Graham Hunter did a really good article about him, saying it was an ode to Pedri, and he talked about the qualities of Pedri that were on display against the Swiss. His superhuman level of intelligence, his brilliant first touch, his amazing peripheral vision, and his innate bravery. For people who watch La Liga regularly, this is not news to you. But against the Swiss side, for those watching around Europe and across the globe, it just showed how incredible and the potential of this 18-year-old. Lesson number 5, chances. Now, this problem has reared its head before for the Spanish national side. The fact that they lack that cutting edge to win games. And I'm going to pick on one individual in particular here, and it's not because I blame him for the entirety of this, but it's Gerard Moreno. He had 3 wonderful opportunities to score the goal that would have meant Spain won the game in normal time. One that he shinned wide, and the other 2 just went straight into the hands of Yann Sommer. Okay, the caveat there being Yann Sommer had a really good performance, and if it hadn't been for Unai Simon saving those 2 penalties, he probably would have been the man of the match. Gerard Moreno had an XG of 3.3, yet scored 0 goals. And I think that sums up the fact that Spain really do struggle to put the ball in the back of the net. Now, as I said, it was not entirely Gerard Moreno's fault. Koke and Ferran Torres as well had opportunities they should have finished. And as well, it is very hard to criticise Spain if you think pragmatically. This is a side that in the last 2 matches scored 5 goals in each of them, meaning that their goal tally for the tournament is 12, which matches their best ever in 2008 and 2012. However, Spain really do feel toothless at times, and as a Spanish fan, as a Spanish critic in many ways, you worry for their chances against a really tough Italian defence. We now look at the opposition, Italy, who have just beaten number 1 ranked side in the world, Belgium, 2-1. That was Belgium's golden generation. If you include qualification, if you include the group stage and the knockout games, Italy are unbeaten in 15 matches. Since Roberto Mancini took over once they failed to qualify for the Russia World Cup in 2018, he's completely transformed that side. The style of play that he's adopted is a 4-3-3, built upon that famous Catenaccio style of defence, that resolute, tough defence to break down, but also complementing that with very fluid attacking football. The Italians play with a high line, aggressive pressing and counter-pressing, and as I say, have a lot of freedom and creativity up top. Spanish fans may remember actually, and this was a previous Italian side, but back in 2016, they knocked Spain out in the round of 16, 2-0. The Italians have looked unstoppable at the Euros, so let's take a look at their starting lineup. In goal, Donnarumma, who already aged 22 is considered by many as world class. Having made his debut back when he was 16 for AC Milan, he's a really good shot stopper and good at saving penalties. At right back, Di Lorenzo, who's coming for the injured Florenzi. At right centre back, Bonucci, who's been ever present throughout this tournament. Partnering Bonucci is Chiellini, his Juventus teammate, who came back from a thigh injury to play against Belgium, and at 36 the skipper is still so important for the Azzurri. At left back, well, it would have been Spinazzola, who has arguably been one of the best players this tournament, but he went off injured against Belgium, so you're likely to see Emerson Palmieri come in, who did start against Wales. You have Jorginho in the heart of that midfield, playing slightly deeper as a deep line playmaker, a quarterback as it were. Partnering Jorginho on the right, Barella, who's got a lot of creativity, vision, passing range, ball carrying drive, and can really push the play forward. And on the left, Locatelli, another all-action player with a lot of energy. On the left wing, we've got Insigne, 2 goals in the tournament, scored a cracker against Belgium, cutting in from the left, curling the ball in the corner, and also got 19 goals domestically, such a big threat. At the centre forward, we've got Immobile, who scored twice against Austria and looks razor sharp. Bit of criticism for his comical attempts to win a penalty in the last match after feigning an injury, but immediately making a recovery once his team scored. He is so prolific, having bagged 123 goals in 177 appearances for Lazio. Then on the right, Berardi of Sassuolo, who's been a key part of the youthful transformation of Italy. So in light of all that, how do I think the Spain side will line up? Well, I think by and large, it will be unchanged. The only change would be a forced one for Pablo Sarabia, who went off with a muscle strain in the last match against Switzerland. It's to be confirmed whether he'll be fit for the semi-finals, but if he isn't, it's either going to be Dani Olmo or Miguel Oyarzabal. And I know I sang Dani Olmo's praise earlier, but I think he could be a real impact off the bench. So for me, I might start Miguel Oyarzabal, who has scored this tournament and has been prolific for his domestic side, Real Sociedad. Okay then, so what is going to be my verdict? And unfortunately, it's bad news. I think this is going to be the end of the road for Spain. Italy are just so good at the moment. I think it could be a 2-1 victory for Italy. But if Spain do prove me wrong, and I hope they do, in the final they'll play either Denmark or England. And I mean, Spain versus England, what a game that's going to be. That'd be absolutely amazing if I have to preview that one. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, and give the video a thumbs up. It's all greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.